Even if your answer is correct, a sloppy diagram can cost you marks. Let's lock in those easy diagram points. Before we start drawing, here is what you need. First, use a sharp pencil and a ruler. Clean straight lines make a strong impression on the examiner. Next, you should always title your diagram and label the axis first so you never forget. For example, for this diagram, we can label it, we can put the title as diagram for increase in demand. And you should always label your axis. And if you are adding more than one curve, label each curve clearly to avoid confusion. Like here we have D and here we have D1. So these are important. So welcome to Graph Mastery for IGCSE Economics. In this lesson today, I will show you 3 diagrams that appear in almost every paper. The demand and supply curve, price elasticity of demand, and the production possibility curve. Get these right and you will secure some of the easiest marks in the exam. Let's start with the basic demand and supply diagram. On the vertical axis, we measure price, and on the horizontal axis, we measure quantity. The demand curve slopes downward. As price falls, consumers buy more. So, this is a downward sloping curve. We label it as, let's say, DD. And then we have supply curve. Supply curve always slopes upward. As prices rise, producers are willing to supply more. So let's label it as SS. Where the two curves meet is the equilibrium point. It's the market equilibrium. And from this point, we are going to extend this to price and this to quantity. And let's label it as P star and Q star. Now imagine that consumers' incomes rise and they want more of this product at every price. So it means the demand curve will shift to the right. So let's mark it. Let's draw a new curve, which is your new demand curve. So let's mark it as D1, D1, and don't forget to show this increase with an arrow. This is important. Okay. Now, where is the new intersection? The new intersection will be where the new demand curve is cutting the original supply curve. Let's mark it as E1. Now, from this E1, we are going to again draw a new line towards price and new quantity. Now, what again, don't forget to mark it. So, let's label it as P1 and Q1. So what is it showing? That increase in demand, this increase in demand is leading to both a price rise and more output in the market. I hope this is clear. Yes. So always remember that we have to label axes, we have to label all the curves, we have to show with the arrows what we mean to say. So your diagrams should be self-explanatory. Now let's learn the second diagram, price elasticity of demand. Price elasticity of demand measures how strongly quantity demanded responds to a change in price. So as usual, we will start with the basic diagram. You will have price on this axis and quantity on the horizontal axis. Then you are going to draw two demand curves through the same point. Okay, so one steep for inelastic demand, which is this in our case, DI. DI is showing inelastic demand, and one flat demand curve which will show elastic demand. So always remember, steeper demand curve is to show inelastic demand and flatter demand curve is to show elastic demand. It should be clear, it should be clearly visible to the teacher. It makes a huge difference. Now when you will at this point, you are going to mark initial price at P1 and equilibrium quantity at Q1. Now let's imagine that the price falls to P2. So when the price falls to P2, it means we are going to, let's imagine that the price has gone down. We are going to draw a horizontal, let's draw a dotted line. So you have like this. So let's assume that the price has fallen down to P2, from P1 to P2. Then what is the effect on quantity demanded? So when this happens, now you should watch the difference. On the steep inelastic curve, you will see that the quantity has increased by very little. Yes, so this is your, basically this is the quantity for us on the steeper demand curve. The change is very less. Yes, so elasticity tells us exactly what? That how strongly the quantity demanded responds to price changes. Now with inelastic demand, think of petrol. A large price change brings only a small change in quantity. So it has inelastic demand. With elastic demand, look at the change in quantity demanded. So this is our elastic demand. So let's say this is Q. We can mark it as probably Q I and this as Q E. Yes. Now imagine in case of elastic demand like luxury handbags, a small price cut can cause a big jump in quantity. So when you are drawing these type of diagrams, again, we need to be very clear. Remember that steep equals inelastic and flatter curve equals elastic. So just to recap, remember on the steep inelastic curve, quantity rises only little, only by this much from this Q1 to Qi. But on the flat elastic curve, the same price drop causes a big jump from Q1 to QE. So this shows the clear difference between elastic curve and inelastic curve. Now let's learn the third diagram, production possibility curve or PPC. Now in this case, we have to label the axis with two goods because PPC curve is a curve that shows the various possible combinations of two goods that can be produced with given resources and given technology. For example, let's take food on this axis and clothes on this axis. You have to draw a curve something like this, which is bowed outward, which shows increasing opportunity cost. Now remember, any point, if they ask you to show full and efficient use of resources or whether it's a productively efficient point or not, you have to show that any point on this curve. But don't forget to mark it. So let's say it is A or B. All these points are showing they are productively efficient and resources are being fully used. If we show any point inside, let's name it U because it's easier to remember, U shows underutilization of resources. It means any point inside the curve is inefficient, means resources are underutilized. Any point outside the curve, let's mark it S. It's like unattainable with the current resources. So probably scarcity of resources. So remember that way. So S can show any point outside which is unattainable with the current resources. In case the economy is able to improve their technology, or let's say the resources are growing in the economy, then the entire curve shifts outward. Yes, meaning, so we are going to show another curve like this. So don't forget to label if you are showing this increase. So let's say this was original curve Mn. We have to show this as M dash N dash, clearly showing that these are two different curves labeled, and show with arrows that your curve is shifting outward. The entire curve is shifting outward, which means the economy can produce more of both goods, more of food as well as clothes. So this you can show with the shift, and you are labeling each part, each curve. Now imagine that you have to show the same diagram for improvement in resources or more resources in food production, and clothes are, the cloth production is not changing. So if you have a curve like this, so don't forget to, first of all, food, clothes, don't forget to label them M and N. So if we assume that the food production can be increased, resources are growing for food production, but no change in clothes, then it means my curve will be like this. This is known as, let's name it as Q. So what is it showing? That the curve is rotating. It's not shifting. The entire curve is not shifting. The curve is just rotating from M to Q because resources for food production have increased and there is no change in clothes. So please make sure that you are keeping these small things in mind and labeling the diagrams carefully. This is very, very important. Now, these three diagrams, what we did today, basically your demand and supply diagram, then we did elastic and inelastic demand and PPC. These are all foundation of IGCSE Economics specifically, but they are useful in all different types of syllabus. Always label your axes, curves and equilibrium points clearly, and you will easily capture marks every time. If you found this explanation helpful, go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more clear and exam focused content. And if you ever feel stuck with a topic or want personalized help, check out my tutoring services. I would love to help you learn economics the easy way. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video. Bye for now.